Well, Brandi, coming up with a meeting tonight, I know there's a lot of interest on the issue, more people impacted than maybe people initially understood. What do you hope to achieve tonight?
Well, I'm hoping that the assessor will adopt and implement the proposed memo that was shared with me last week. After a long and challenging month that I've had, including a lot of the media coverage, which we've discussed, it seems that the assessor and the board may finally be recognizing the severity of this issue that is caused in the county. The proposed plan that I understand, it's actually allowing the landowners to provide evidence that they're working to enroll in programs through DNR or through our local USDA office once they receive their assessment in the mail. I anticipate that the assessor will share a lot more of those details tonight, as I'm sure that many questions are going to come from the public. So these issues actually, they extend beyond Montgomery County. These all originated from the state law that was actually enacted back in 2007. However, our county has only recently chosen to implement it. So that's kind of why all of this blew up. So to gain insight on how this law is being applied, I actually reached out to 100 of Illinois' 102 counties. Of course, Cook County doesn't enact this, regarding their woodland acreage assessment. So, and there's tons of inconsistencies across the state. So some counties are saying that they're doing it, but all the evidence that I have found is I have yet to uncover any kind of drastic tax increases that Montgomery County is experiencing. So I feel like if they were doing that this would have blown up sometime in the last 17 years and not today like we're experiencing here. Yes, and I mean, ultimately, my hope is that the state of Illinois will amend the law. I mean, that's where the root problem lies, not just here in Montgomery County, if this is a state law. While, this is going to be a short-term win for Montgomery County, which I'm hoping, the fight clearly isn't over. So we must push for change at the state level. Like the programs, like I mentioned, that are available through the USDA and through DNR, they alleviate the tax burden. But that tax burden, it's going to come and go. But one thing that we can all agree on is, the taxation is unfortunately here to stay. So we definitely need to be fighting this at the state level.
So we've seen things again. This is the social media era. So there's been a lot of information out there, a lot of emotion tied to this. And, we've seen different names thrown in the mix. Like I saw something about the county fair being impacted. So just sorting out some of the answers as far as what maybe is factual and what hasn't been factual during this saga.
Well, actually, with the county fair, I had actually done a quick search, which really doesn't have anything to do with my wooded acreage. But as I was FOIAing the audio minutes, I did hear that, and I believe it was the July 5th meeting, and it was talking about the assessor was mentioning that the fairgrounds were going to be affected by this, and she mentioned that they were for profit. And every day owning a real estate company, when we're working with corporations, I have to go online and search to see if they're in good standing with the Secretary of State. So it's just a real quick, easy search you can do on CyberDrive Illinois. So I hurried up, went on there and searched CyberDrive Illinois and typed in the fairgrounds as it read on the property tax bill. And sure enough, it showed that they were actually a not-for-profit. So a few more phone calls and some research, probably within 10 minutes of research, I was able to get a hold of Marty Benning from Raymond, and she actually confirmed that they were a 501c5, which is like a 501c3, but it is the agricultural side of that. And they were a tax-exempt organization. And way back whenever Assessor Redfern was in, they had actually filled out their P-Tax 300 form. They were only aware that they had to fill it out for that 1 year, wasn't aware that that was something they had to continue to do. So actually, she is in the process of getting those documents filled out on public record, so they will remain a tax-exempt organization, from my understanding. Again, they would need to confirm that with the county, but that was my understanding. So thankfully, this was brought to light, and that hopefully will save the fairgrounds. Again, that doesn't have anything to do with wooded acreage, but it was just one of the many things that were brought up that, unfortunately, tax dollars were wasted going out and remeasuring when I feel like just a few quick phone calls and searches found that information. So, which is unfortunate.
How much time have you invested in this? I can only imagine it's been considerable when you talk about communicating, researching multiple counties, what have you.
I don't even honestly want to figure that out. I feel like I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this. Luckily, I am self-employed and I own my own business. So if not, I probably would have been fired from my job by now. So I have spent a lot of time. I started this actually on October the 12th. So it's been just a little bit over a month is when I got started on this. I actually had found out that I was affected by this. I had inquired on my own property, and I wanted to know how many other landowners might also be affected by this. And I was told that information was not available. I had actually FOIA'd that and was told that that was not available. I wanted to know, again, owning a real estate company, how many other landowners that we have done transactions with this year that might not have got the correct tax prorations at closing. So that way I could kind of get ahead of everything. And I was told that information wasn't available. So, and then unfortunately, when I was listening to the audio recordings on November the 6th, I actually heard at the September 5th meeting that there were 70 affected landowners that were generating over $5 million of new EAV. So unfortunately, that information was available to me. So this could have actually all been avoided if I would have gotten that information on that date, which is definitely unfortunate because I didn't want this to blow up and become a TikTok frenzy of sorts. So that way it's definitely got the attention of everybody.
On an issue like this, a group assembling in short order on an issue where time was of the essence.
Correct. Yes. Time is definitely of the essence. We needed to get this information out there prior to this rolling over to IDOR, which I believe rolls over from my emails with the assessor. It rolls over the end of November, beginning of December. So if everybody would have waited until they got those tax assessments in the mail, if you're like me, I get stuff in the mail, I kind of toss it aside and I may look at it 2 or 3 weeks later. At that time, it's unfortunately going to be a little bit too late for that. So it did need to come out, and that's what's unfortunate is we should have had notice way back in July when they were talking about this. So a lot of this could have been alleviated with notice, and that's the transparency issue there.
A couple of thoughts, just your thoughts on what you've heard from Chairman Donaldson. I know I spoke with him when this meeting was first set up, and certainly in terms of open government, having this off-site, this issue-only meeting certainly has to be helpful.
Correct. Yes, definitely. I think that people just want to have their voices heard. You know, a lot of people have concerns about the government restrictions on how they can use their land. I mean, a lot of people are seeing it as a potential land grab. I mean, they're fearing that it could, be a step towards taxing, property owners out of their land, which, I mean, I've had some of those calls from people that, getting into some of the government programs, it does cost money to have a forester come out to your property. I actually just had one come out yesterday. I mean, to our property, depending on the number of acres, is what the independent foresters charge you. So some of those can be, $1,200 up to a couple $1,000s to have the forester out there. So people right now just don't have the extra funds to do that. And then once you're in the programs, you've got to do things to your, it's not like you just sign up for these programs and then you forget it. You've got to maintain your property. You've got to, every program is different. So like my property might be different than my neighbor's property, depending on, the invasive species that I have, getting rid of bush honeysuckle or whatnot. So not every program is created equal. So there are things that, some of these elderly landowners have to do to their property. So you're paying to get into the program, and then you're also paying to continue to invest in your land in order to save on taxes. So at, what point is enough? So, and I've tried to keep everybody informed in the community. I know social media can be bad at sometimes, but I did create a Facebook page. It's called Stand Against Unfair Tax Hikes in Montgomery County. I posted a ton of resources and updates. I mean, I feel like, it's about keeping everybody informed about the tax burdens, and I'm honestly not going to stop until there's change in this. So I feel like this fight has honestly just begun. This is something I never thought that I would do, but I feel like I'm led to do this as a business owner and somebody who is affected, firsthand by this.
Brandi, what is your message to folks who are coming out tonight or may consider coming out tonight that are impacted?
My message would be to continue to stay on top of things. I know that I haven't always been the best at staying on top of things. I would just read the newspaper when it would come out on Mondays and Thursdays. Sometimes I would read both editions at the same time on the weekend. Since this all started, I have been online looking at the committee meeting minutes, the board meetings, and I feel like there's a lot of information out there that we don't know. We've elected these officials to represent us, and I feel like we all need to be paying a little bit more attention to what is going on behind closed doors.